Hello, everyone. Hello, dear friends from all over the world. I am so happy that I am here with you all now. Thanks God for that. And we have a guest speaker today, our dear Solomon Waters, our dear Charles Kempf, and dear Silvia Gibbons. She's coming right now. She will be with us, having some issues of internet, but she is here. So, hello, Silvia. Hello, Charles. Hello, Solomon. Your greetings before our video.
Hello,
Starting
everyone.
with
Good
ladies
evening.
first.
Good evening. Hello.
Bonsoir. Hello. Very happy to be here again with you, and very happy that Elsa is with us today. We are missing her a lot.
Yeah. Very hot here, 25 degrees Celsius. All the windows open. I don't put my fresh air here because it's too noisy for us. And we can now go to our short video regarding our theme today. Why does evil still exist in this world? Let's go there.
I'm Alex Caldini. I would like to share with you some of my findings on Spiritism. I've been studying Spiritism for the last 25 years. Spiritism is a body of knowledge organized in the 19th century by the French intellectual Allan Kardec. It's basically a philosophy on how to live well with yourself, how to live well with your peers, with your friends and family, how to live well with humanity. It's a fascinating journey. Please come with me. Let's dive into our souls. Evil spirits. Do they really exist? And if so, how can we deal with them? We see on TV, we see on the movies, so many series, so many films about evil spirits, the terror movies. But do they really exist? They're just a fantasy, a Hollywood fantasy. No, they do exist in a certain way. What Spiritism says about this? Bad spirits, evil spirits, as we see on cinema, as we see on the movies, Spiritism says they don't exist. What exists are spirits like yourself, like myself, that are still on the learning curve of how to become better people. What are spirits? Spirits are us. You are a spirit, I'm a spirit. At this time, I'm here incarnated. I'm using a body to express myself, to live in this earth. Once we disincarnate, once we die, we become just spirits without the body. And if we are a good person, once we die, we still are a good person. If maybe I have some problems, maybe I'm too jealous, or too selfish, or too violent. Once I die, I still am the same person. The so-called evil spirits, actually they're spirits like you and I. They act on their own interest. So for example, I might influence a person in this way or in that way because I believe this is on my interest, and maybe it's not. Those are the evil spirits. So you don't have to be afraid of evil spirits, but you have to be aware of the influence of the spirits as a whole, good spirits and bad spirits. So how do I protect myself from the influence of these people, of these spirits, that perhaps are not the best influence I could have in my life? Well, it's quite simple. Just pay attention to your mind, what you're thinking. We attract spirits as we attract people, because spirits and people are the same thing. One is incarnated, the other one is not incarnated. So if you want to have a good company, deserve it, attract them. How do you do that? By paying attention to your mind, to your thoughts. If you're thinking flowers, for instance, you attract hummingbirds and nice bees, or butterflies, perhaps. But if you're thinking a rotten thought, what kind of company do you think you're going to attract? The best behavior you have, the best companies you're going to have. The best companies you have, the best your life is going to be. You're going to be more calm, more happy, more in peace.
Wonderful. Thanks to our friends from the High Spirit channel that presents so good videos, and many ones in short mode that's easy for us to use here for our lives. So thanks, Alexandre Caldini, as well, our friend that always is helping us in our events in English. So now, who'd you like to start? Can I ask Charles?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Why does evil still exist on the world? Why does evil exist? Kardec is analyzing this question in the Genesis, section 3, more in particular. And he explains us that God, if God exists, if he is really the first cause of all things, he must be in his attribute all merciful, all good, all just, and so on. So that's a difficulty to understand, to conciliate this infinite goodness of God with the fact that the evil is existing on the earth. The traditional religions are talking that the evil is coming from the devil, basically. And the devil, they have a theory saying that it was an angel, but who went wrong. So God has created angels to be good, and there God made a mistake that because one of the angels became the devil. Okay, and that cannot be because God is infinitely good and he knows everything. All what he does is perfect. So this explanation is also not good. It makes no sense. Okay. Nevertheless, the evil is existing and it has a cause. Okay. And Kardec is analyzing the evil in two forms. The first form is the physical difficulties, evil, and the moral evil. The some the mankind can avoid, can prevent. Some other are totally independent of man's will, like earthquake or meteorological events and so on. And even here now we know that with the global warming, mankind has how to say some influence also on that. But the fact that, for instance, earthquakes are existing on the Earth, it's part of the nature, it's part of our planet. And when we look, of course, the first earthquake, when the houses were built weakly, they were collapsing and a lot of times killing the people which were inside the houses. Nevertheless, this was to stimulate the mankind's intelligence to be used. How can we prevent those? And you see, for instance, when you go in Japan, in Tokyo, you have earthquake almost every day, and we don't even hear about. Why? Because everything has been constructed in order to resist to the earthquake. So this is a typical example showing that how mankind can, through his work, through using the intelligence for good things, prevent this type of evil, okay, or the consequences of this type of evil. He cannot avoid earthquakes to happen, but he can make such that when an earthquake is happening, the damages or the injuries are limited. That's one. The second one is the moral, moral evil. And okay, this is the one that we have to understand a little bit better. When we look, for instance, the mankind has been created with free will by God. Okay, one could ask, why does the mankind has not been created perfect as the angels? That was not in the plans of God. The mankind has been created. We, each of us, have been created simple and without science, but with a potential of evolution, which is infinite. Okay, and through one of the attributes is exactly this free will. we have a free will. Otherwise, without free will, we would be what? A machine? Huh? We would be what? An animal? Huh? No, we have the free will. We can decide, we are deciding what we do with this free will. And that is exactly where this moral evil is coming from. Huh? Some people, some spirits incarnated here on the earth, which is the planet which is not so elevated. It's not the home of angels. Otherwise, it would be much different than what it is today. With our imperfection, we still are using sometimes our free will to do evil. And this is what you can see in the actuality, nowadays with these wars that are happening, the people which are starving, the wrong distribution of goods and so on. So a lot of people having a lot of superfluous things, and a huge number of people, almost half of the humanity, having not enough for a decent life. This is our reality. And where does what is the root cause of this? And Kardec is making this analysis that the root cause, the main root cause, is coming from the instinct of preservation. Okay? Instinct of preservation is when you look, for instance, to the animals, when there is some food and the animals are starving, they will fight once against the other for the food they found. It's not because they are doing evil, it's simply the instinct of survival that is pushing that. But mankind is a step above the animal. Of course, mankind has still the instinct and has still this instinct of preservation. For instance, when you see something happening, an explosion or a fire or whatever, what do? You run. You run. And this is exactly the instinct of preservation. But this instinct of preservation is also staying a little bit in ourselves, because this is where we are coming from the past. And this instinct is making such that we are always afraid that we have not enough for the conservation. And this is exactly something which leads to selfishness, for instance, to take for us and not give to the others. And that is really where it is coming from. Nevertheless, God has also always placed the good aside the evil. And one example I always give to show how critical the evil was, for instance, in Europe in the 19th and 20th centuries. Just look to the wars of Napoleon, look to the wars of 1870, look to WW1, look to WW2, Holocaust, and all these terrible things who happened. It was really, how to say, at a point that a lot of people started doubting, no, mankind is not good, mankind is fundamentally bad or evil. Is it really the case? No, it is not. Because what has been done after WW2? There has been the Marshall Plan, there has been the start of building the European community and so on, narrowing relationship between UK, between France and Germany, for instance. And you see today we are 70 years after WW2, and France and Germany are still very close countries, very friend. Of course, we do not agree on everything. The culture is absolutely different, but at least unless something really dramatic happens, like extreme politicians getting power or whatsoever, there is absolutely today no risk for having a new conflict. So from all this evil that has been done, the conscience has been awakened in the populations, saying, stop with this, we don't want this anymore. And still 70 years, it is working well. So what we hope is, of course, this example really should be followed by all the other countries, all the other leaders everywhere in the world where there are still some wars. Look in Ukraine. What is a war in Ukraine? It is authority against liberty. Some populations they are willing to have more liberty, and the other one, which are more conservative and authoritarian regime, they say no, we don't want to give the liberty. Our regime is the better, and this regime shall prevail. So I do the war on them. And in Israel and Palestine, it's about the same which is happening. And not sharing the land correctly, not giving the freedom. Sorry, who are willing to have this freedom. And the consequence of all this is there is a conflict with a lot of people killing. But we will not come out of it. Violence is always leading to violence. We need really to go out of this vicious circle. The conscience of mankind, our one, must awake. We must pressurize our leader, vote the right ones, and not the one which have this risk of being selfish, for instance, or inducing some violence or some war. And we really have to push this movement forward to say, look, the sustainable future of the humanity is with peace, is not with wars, not with violence. But unfortunately, we are not there yet, and that is why the evil still exists on the earth today. Sorry, I spoke a little bit too much.
No, Charlie. It's very clear, very nice indeed. All the contribution that you brought right now, because there's especially talking about the wars and things like that. And we have, as I said before, the Genesis that brings a lot of things for us. And also we have all the books that we study about evil spirits. And before I say something, I would like to listen Silvia while she's here now. It's not frozen, Silvia, is it? I think Silvia is frozen again. Silvia. Okay. Why, Silvia, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, I'm having a terrible problem. It keeps disappearing all the time and it doesn't move. I can hardly hear anything. I'm going to get off and start again. I think
now it's okay. Now you can carry on.
Thing.
Now
because
you can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So Silvia, your contribution, why you are fine now?
Okay, I'll try then. What a nightmare.
Okay, while Silvia is solving the issue with his computer, Solomon, would you like to contribute now, please?
Sure.
I'm sorry about this.
No problem.
I don't know why this is happening.
Yeah, I think Charles put it well, because the simple answer is, it's down to free will. And Charles, elaborated with, a lot of very pertinent points. There are some prayers in the Gospel according to Spiritism, and there's one entitled "To Keep Evil Spirits Away." And I'll read what it says in the introduction to that prayer, because it relates. It says, "Evil spirits go only where they find what satisfies their wickedness. In order to keep them at bay, it is not enough to ask them or even to order them to stay away. One must rid oneself of what attracts them. Evil spirits sniff out the wounds of the soul, just as flies sniff out the wounds of the body. Just as you would cleanse your body to keep vermin away, cleanse your soul of its impurities to keep evil spirits away. Since we live in a world swarming with evil spirits, The good qualities of the heart do not always shelter us from their attempts, but they do give us the strength to resist them. And then it goes on to the prayer. So I think, the main remedy is really to look at what Spiritism offers. Prayer, gospel in the home, all of these things can help to change the ambient. Because it's not just we can blame an individual. We can say, look, Putin is evil. He is an evil spirit. He's determined to do wrong, and that's true. In the sense he's made a choice. At some point, as a baby, he was not evil. He was born with which way to, every opportunity that each spirit has when they're born. But he chose a path of dominating his neighbor and taking away their free will. But we also, and I'm not condoning anything about what Putin is doing, but we also have to look at the entire ambient. It's much easier if there's so much evil, if there are so many evil spirits and so many companies and organizations who are selfish and going down a path of not caring about the wider ecology of the world, and other people who are affected by their practices or whatever they're about, that then evil can grow out of an environment of evil. So it's important to look at the ecology of spirits and to say, if we have 99% good spirits, obviously it's going to be a no-brainer. The next person is going to say, yes, I will do good, because everywhere around me I see good, and I can, grow from the goodness of, all the people in my neighborhood and even in my city, in my country, and everything is easy. But of course we look around us and the child sees maybe the parents even, being pick and mix about their own moral behavior. And then the government, as Charles said, governments can be, very selfish and not good. So we have all these, and obviously many companies are entirely selfish. They're all about themselves. They don't care if there's pollution or people die even in from the repressive practices and with some clothing companies and what have you, exploiting the poor. So we need to, each of us, play our part. That's why evil still exists, because too many people choose to do what is right for them individually, what's comfortable or pleasurable in the moment, and not considering the wider ecology. And that is not easy either, because if you have, many selfish people, many evil people around, you can be overwhelmed by them, and then have a struggle. Then you may think, well, why am I the only virtuous one in my class when everyone else is a bully, when everyone else, steals, when everybody else, you might say, well, heck, I can, bully somebody myself. I can go over here and steal something from the teacher or what have you. It's a bit like this. So we need to be very aware of the ambient, very aware of our collective accountability, and prayer is a remedy to that. Gospel in the home is a remedy to that. Avoiding alcohol, avoiding illegal drugs, all of these things which Spiritism talks about in the Allan Kardec books are excellent remedies to evil. But evil is essentially just a choice to be selfish. All the problems of the world could really be boiled down to, being selfish and not considering the wider community, the ecology of souls.
Wonderful. You see, Solomon, Silvia, Charles, and the friends that are here with us in the chat. Everyone, I think the entire humanity, are looking for happiness. But the stage that our planet is right now, trial and atonements, only will change to be happy when we can be free from the evil things. evil thoughts, especially evil actions, and bring more evil because we are changing ecology, we are changing the ambiental parts of the world, we are doing things, as Solomon said, against our planet. Of course, the planet give back to us what we are giving to the world. Accordingly, our involvement, according our inner reform, inner way to think. And I will bring, before asking Silvia, I will bring it quickly here the lesson in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 8, the Lord's Prayer, just a part of the Lord's Prayer that said, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. Lord, give us the necessary strength to resist all suggestions coming from the evil spirits, who will try to divert us from the path of goodness by inspiring us with evil thoughts. Nevertheless, we too are imperfect spirits incarnated on earth to expiate our sins and better ourselves. The cause of evil lies deep within our own souls, and the evil spirits do nothing more than take advantage of our inferior tendencies to tempt us. Each imperfection is an open door to their influences, whereas they become powerless and give up any attempt against perfect beings. Everything we do to send them away will be useless, as long as we do not put up a decided and unbreakable decision to practice goodness, as Solomon mentioned. Do gospel in the home, prayer with your family, think about yourself to be happy, to be a better person every day, yeah? And together with a total renunciation of all evil. Therefore, it is against ourselves that our efforts must be directed. Then, the evil spirits will leave us naturally, since evil attracts evil. Therefore, it is against ourselves that our efforts must be directed. Lord, uphold us in our weaknesses, inspire us through the voices of our guardian angels and the good spirits with a desire to correct our imperfections, so that we may prevent access to our souls by evil spirits. So this is good because we are surrounded by a multitude of testimonies, witnesses, good and bad. It's up to us which way we will use our free will to connect, to be surrounded, to connect our thoughts, to be a better person, and to live a better day every moment, every day. Do you agree, Silvia? Put your comments, please, my dear. It's nice.
Hello, I'm sorry, I had so many problems with the computer today. Well, I think it is something that we have to think about, because evil exists all around us, but we cannot forget that, you know, the text that you read, Elsa, is important in a sense that gives us an awareness of what we are, but we cannot forget that we are also part of it, because no spirits can influence us if we don't allow them to. I think that's something that is very much forgotten many times, because it, you know, like the Spirit Emmanuel says, we are where our thoughts are. So we are sending constantly thoughts out, and we receive the influence of others. So it's not only in the question of the spirits of those who are discarnated, they are in the spiritual world sending us, but we ourselves are sending them messages and also sending each other messages. So if we want to have a better, peaceful world, we need to change ourselves. I think there is a question from Robbie Brown. Sorry, with all the confusion, I'm not quite sure if it's already been answered or not. But he asked, should we focus on changing ourselves more than in the evil that exists? And I think that's absolutely right, because we cannot change the world. We cannot change how people react or how they think or how they feel. And because we are constantly sending out what we are, our message through our thoughts, which are pure energy and a creative energy as well. So we are creating these images going out there. So if we focus on ourselves in a sense of what am I doing? How do I feel about certain things? How can I control the emotions that I have? How can I analyze things in a clearer way, more detached, not, putting so much input of my own feelings or projecting things that I don't like on other people? If we think about correcting ourselves, looking deep into ourselves and changing what we can, because this is within our position, within our ability to do. We can change ourselves. We can change the way we think. We can change the way we behave. We can change what we say. And it's a question of discipline, because we know that the laws of God, according to the Spirit's book, is written in our conscience. So if we start out from that premise that we already know what's right and wrong, and then we can make the choices, because evil is created when we, as human beings, diverge from the laws of God. We suffer when we go against the laws of God. And those laws are within each and every one of us, whether you believe in God or not. His laws is within you. So evil is created when we make the negative choices, when we put our pride and our selfishness and our own interests in front of everything else. So I think looking for ourselves and trying to find the answers within ourselves and creating something different, creating good, positive thoughts, then it reaches others. We will be in symphony with those thoughts, because that's we live in a completely everybody, we connected with everybody else. So we may be influencing other people as well. And if our thoughts are good and are positive, and then they will be receiving, and some, go on and on and on. So we cannot only blame. I think one of the greatest failures that we have as human beings is either, if you're a religious person, you always, it's the devil done it. Sometimes you feel that, especially in certain religions, not being critical or anything, please, it's not what I mean, but it seems that people have more faith in the devil than they have faith in God, because the devil has no power over us that we don't give him. And also, as spiritists, we know the devil does not exist. It's just, human beings that create our choices through our free will and making the different choices. I think Charles, when he, part of something that I heard when Charles was saying, that, we make choices, and he was saying something about how we are created simple and ignorant, without science, without knowledge. And that's exactly how we were created. So we can make our own choices through the free will that God's given us. We make a choice. We create our path. We create what we do. Because at the end, ultimately, when we do become what we truly are, which we are children of God, and we are spirits of light in process of development, we can look back in all the experiences we have and say, no, I've done it. It's my effort. It was through my hard work, my determination, my desire to overcome that I've come to this point. And that's why God gave us free will. So we make our choices. So if there is bad things, if there are evil in the world. It's because we, as human beings, have made the choice to choose the wrong path. And when we are going against the laws of God, that's written in our conscience already. And, it is difficult to say the thing, punishment is not really punishment, but eventually we have to readdress all the wrongs and everything we caused. Because if all the harm we do to others, or even to ourselves, we will have to answer for it. And if we provoke others into doing things that are bad, we'll be responsible for what they are doing as well. Of course, they also have the parcel of the responsibility. But I think if we think in terms of our responsibility, do we want, what kind of world do we want? I think there was a quote from Gandhi, I think, that created the world, or be what you want the world to be, or something, which is very, very parallel to what Jesus said. Do to others as you would they do to you. And if we really were able to integrate this into our daily, day-to-day lives, whenever we do something or think something, so would I like someone doing that to me? If you could just stop it to think for a bit and say, how would I feel if someone did that to me? And I'm sure that there are lots of things that we would not do, because if we could just stop for a moment and think, no, I don't think I would like that. So don't do to others, And I think this is so basic, because if you think in terms of the Gospels and of the teachings of Jesus, it was very, very basic. Look at, see what you would like them, how we would react. And another thing as well, that one of the things that throughout all the teachings, all the many parables in the Gospel, Jesus never went there and did anything. You notice, he never went, I'm going to cure you. He would always say, what do you want me to do? What are you asking for? And then he would always say, your faith healed you. And I think sometimes, we want to do things to people, we wanted to save solve their problems. And I think quite a lot of stuff that we have is just because we interfere, start giving our opinion without being asked. And I think if we could just stop, say, would I like that? If someone did that to me, how would I feel? And, just what do you want me to do? What help do you want me to give you? I think we would live in a better world, and we ourselves would be happier, because we can't change everyone in the world, but we can change ourselves. So I think the answer to Robbie is really the evil exists, that we create. There is no devil telling us, oh, you go and do this. And and we know there are spirits that are not very nice, and they can be quite devilish, really. But on the other hand, they cannot influence us if our own thoughts are elevated. If we think good things, if we do good to other people, if our faith is not only a faith in a sort of theoretical way, but in a practical way of serving others, they will have no influence at all on us, and maybe we could have a better influence on them. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think it's high time for us as human beings, especially if we have some belief that life continues, if we have an acceptance that God exists and He is there for us, always merciful, and take responsibility for our own actions. There would be less devils in the world, and there would be better, would be more angels, I think. So there we are.
Exactly, Silvia. You are very, very right. And I think the same. But I think the education, we must need the education, a moral education for children, especially children in early ages, the teenagers, adulthood, we have to have moral education inside the families. But people are leaving education, they confuse moral education with the religion. Religion is the mankind that created the religion. But spirituality, morality, moral teachings comes from benefactors, come from the spirits. That is the moral of the universe. So we must think about education nowadays to educate our children with responsibility, with love, with care, charity, everything that will really defeat evil in the world for the future. But regarding middle ages in nowadays, people said, "Oh, the world is getting worse, worse, worse." And I watched Divaldo saying, never before the world has so many spiritual things in nowadays that people are looking for better things about spirituality, looking for spiritual things, etc. Nowadays, so we have so many things now offered for free, books, etc., in order to help us to defeat evil, changing ourselves. We talked many times here about changing ourselves, isn't it? In order really to have a better world, to be free from the evil, we don't know. But the world above us, more elevated as we are now, the evil there is not in doing good. It is different than what we are doing nowadays. It's clear, Charles. You are mute, Charles.
What we have to see is what is the destiny of the spirit. It's the spiritual life. We are incarnated in a material body on earth for the necessity of our progress, of our evolution. If we do, let's think about, is doing evil a good deal? It is not. Silvia told it clearly. I mean, with the law of affinity, by doing evil, you will attract evil and you enter in a vicious circle. If you do evil, you will get evil back. Okay, always. For the humanity itself, violence never solved anything, any problem. Okay, so to do evil is really not a good calculation. And what we need to know is, of course, we can. We are selfish, we are fighting to get more for us whatsoever, but one day we go back to the spiritual life. It's 100% probability. Sooner or later, one day we will die. We will disincarnate, go back to the spiritual world. And what do we take with us there? Is it money, car, honorific titles? No. We just take with us our conscience. And that is, we have to be aware of this, because short term, maybe the evil are, to say, getting some advantage. But mid-term and long-term, it's the opposite. They lose. The first will be the last, and the last will be the first, has been told. And this 2,000 years ago already. So we know it since a long time. So what are we waiting for? Today, you have this climate change also coming. So there will be countries or flooding or too hot or to survive whatsoever. You will have a huge movement of people sooner or later. So what will be the solution for that? Will it be fighting, building walls to avoid these people to come? It will not. I mean, when you are starving, you are ready for everything, and we can see it already now. The people taking risk of life to cross the Mediterranean Sea or to cross the Mexican border or whatever in order to have a decent life. So we cannot, you can resist a little bit to this movement, but like when you have a big river, you can block a little bit the flow, but we putting a dam or whatever, but sooner or later, it will overflow. The water will come. So it is absolutely unavoidable. So this is what you have to think about. We have to think about that. The law of nature is pushing us to good, and if we resist doing the evil, if we stay into the selfishness, it's a wrong calculation for us, because instead of progressing, we are keeping stationary. And even if we are doing wrong things, we will have to repay them later on, in this life or in the next life, because nothing gets forgotten. I mean, there is a memory which is memorizing everything that we are doing, thinking, whatsoever. And when we are in the spiritual world, then all the masks are falling down. There is no hypocrisy anymore, nothing. We are really naked in front of our own conscience. And that is what we have to think about. If we want to have a good conscience at that moment, let's try to start having a good conscience already now. The sooner, the best. That's the only calculation, and I repeat, the only sustainable future for the humanity on the earth.
Wonderful, Charles. Wonderful, Charles. I will read you a short paragraph here that is more or less what Charles said here now. Evil is not your work, Lord, because the source of all goodness cannot engender any badness. It is we, ourselves, who create it when we infringe your laws, and through the ill use we make of the liberty you concede us. When humanity has learned to keep your laws, then evil will disappear from earth, just as it has already disappeared from more advanced worlds. That is a summary of more or less what we said. But now, Solomon, would you like to add something? What Silvia and Charles thought?
Sure. There is a passage from Emmanuel in the Religion of the Spirits, which says, it talks about the vices, which we've elaborated on with addictions and all of this, and then goes on to talk about virtues, and starts by saying all these moral monstrosities represent bitter and poisonous fruit of audiences of the soul with the intelligence of the darkness in the desert palace of the lost hours. However, help is called humility and benevolence, hope and optimism, pardon and disinterest, goodness and tolerance, charity and love. And only through it the spirit walks in the footpath of ascension in harmony with the laws of God. So we can see there's a pathway, to leaving behind evil actions and badness. And it's a simple path that Jesus showed us, charity, putting others first, and humility, because he, was on a donkey. He wasn't, on a high horse trying to say he was, a glorious person. So he is still, for us, at least as spiritists, the best exemplar, the best example to follow, because a lot of wrongdoing in the world is about trying to triumph over your neighbor. Like Putin wants to be the big guy, and he wants to take as much land as he wants. And so it doesn't matter what anyone else feels. And it doesn't matter about the families of the people he kills. This is the mindset of evil. I don't care about anybody else. It's me and what I want. So the future is to read what we've been given, thousands of years ago in what Jesus wrote, and to be better students, So really, it's not complicated. It's so simple that people ignore it, So we already have the lessons. Now we just have to, study harder, and speak as we're speaking, and hopefully all of our audience will also speak, and each of us can share what we know and help our brothers and sisters onto a path which is more glorious anyway. That's the irony. If we follow the example of Jesus, there is glory in humility, because we can be in glorious company, and we can be doing glorious work with the good spirits once we get out of the loop of reincarnation, and we can go to better, more glorious places. So I think it's a simple and straightforward path to do good, but it's hard to do that when the world is full of people being selfish and, you know, drinking and doing drugs to excess, and we can get lost in all the evil around us and forget to just read the Bible, read the Spiritist books, you know, and look around at all those who inspire us in Spiritism or on whatever path we're on, and, you know, stay, you know, keep it simple, you know, sweetheart, kiss. You know, they say KISS, keep it simple, sweetheart. You know, that's really it. Just study, be a good student. You know, like children learn to do good and then they deviate because a lot of other guys are smoking, doing drugs. We have to consider each of us as a child that maybe has strayed a bit, but can come back to doing what we know is right. As Silvia and Charles and you've talked about, it's our conscience that can guide us and does guide us. So all we have to do is remember it's not that hard, but it takes effort to move towards the good.
It is good to do good.
Yeah.
It is good to do good. Silvia, we are to listen to you.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, well, you know, we've talked about it. There is a lot of problems in the world, we know. It's very challenging and can be quite difficult sometimes. You know, we can become quite despondent about what is happening. On the other hand, we need to realize as well that, you know, there is this expression, the darkest hour is before dawn. And we know that our planet is being changed. You know, I think we're coming towards the end of the transformation of a planet into a, you know, from atonement to a world of regeneration. And it's to be expected that there'll be a lot of problems, there will be a lot of difficulties, there is a lot of pain. And if we are reminded, you know, of the prophetic sermon that you can read in Mark, or, you know, in the prophet Daniel and in some of the other prophets that predicted this change and everything. It is very, very difficult. It's very painful. So if we have a certain level of awareness of what is going on, instead of becoming, oh, that's horrible, everything is terrible, and say, no, this is a passage. This is changing. This is a path of transformation. This is a world becoming a better world. This is the earth and the spirits being cleansed. Those who are going to become, to go forward, will stay here. And those who are fighting back, they will be left behind. I think would be a better, more productive, because then we would be sending more positive thoughts to ourselves and to the world generally, because I personally believe that as bad as things are, there is always more good in the world than there is bad. Because if there was as much evil or bad things, we wouldn't be able to survive. And, you know, there are some areas that are focused, and we know, but this is part of the change. This is part of the transformation of human beings. You know, unfortunately, we seem to be only able to learn anything if we suffer. Human beings have not yet learned to just change, to make the effort. We need to really be crushed before we can come out of it. But we are learning. I mean, you know, I think for Charles or you or even so, who said something, oh, you were children. We are learning. We are learning. I mean, I think Joanna Jones says, you know, we are at the threshold of a better life. Then things become easier. And, you know, we need to go through this. And sometimes I get a bit, you know, but I have realized that I have to thank God to have put me in this world at this time with a little bit of awareness of what can be done. So if even my prayers are very, very small, at least I can do something positive and pray that the world is better, that we are better. And we know there are so many spirits coming to the world now. elevated spirits, the ones who are really going to move our planet forward. So we have to be grateful and thank God that we are here at this moment, because it is, we are the warriors, we are the workers of the last hour, and some work is needed of us. So instead of always saying how bad things are, no, how better can I make it? I cannot change the world, but I can make the world around me better. I can be more kind, I can be kinder, more understanding to the people who live around me, to my friends, to my family, and send out thoughts. And I think everything, like Chico, you say, everything must pass, and it will. So there'll be joy and happiness, and we feel stronger, we'll be better spirits. So be positive. That's the thing, the message.
So thank you, Silvia. I would like to thank you, Lindalva. She put here a good contribution. You study and put what we learn into practice. So all religions bring some contribution towards goodness, and of course we can put in practice. Gilson said Emmanuel's word of wisdom, of course, yes, and that's it. We are almost at the end of our live tonight that I'm enjoying so much. It's amazing that I could participate today and I am here. So if we plan, we can do. We can go for it. We can do goodness. We can be a better person. It's up to us, our decision. We are driving our lives accordingly our thoughts. Our spirit needs peace. The world needs peace. And peace starts in our inner self, isn't it? So,
Yeah, also you are right. I think you and Silvia and Solomon with the optimistic messages. We have to be optimistic. We are about there. We need to consider that the evil is really playing the last cards, before losing the battle. There is no other way out. Huh? We know that it will take that way. So let's push for it. Huh? Let's help those who are still in the evil and trying to with different means to help them to become better and to understand these natural laws of evolution. And all of us, even the worst one, will also become better and will also become a good person sooner or later. And that's absolutely sure and really the positive vision.
we can free the world of selfishness and pride. It's up to
And
us.
that's over for everyone.
Yes. So we can say goodbye for everyone for tonight. Have a nice night, Charles, Silvia, Solomon in the UK, United Kingdom, in France, our friends from Ireland here, Robbie, and other friends as well, Lily from, I don't know where, but it is Romania or the UK. But make sure that we are sons and daughters of God. We were created to be a good spirit, evolve towards a goodness. And we ask God, benefactors, good spirits, keep keep guiding us, inspiring us to be a better person, that we can together unite our efforts in order when the Lord comes again, will be the work finished. Okay?
Yeah.
The work
Elsa, sorry. For next week, the theme for next week is, can we be truly happy in this world? So next week, next Wednesday, everyone who's listening to us, can we be truly happy in this world? So that will be next week.
Yes, good. So Lindalva, Edilson, Pooja, Robbie, Lily, etc., they can invite their friends to have a chat in the chat with us. And so this theme that Silvia said will be good. Okay? So God bless you all and see you next week. Okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, my dear all.
Bye.
God bless. Bye.
God
Have a
bless
good
us.
week, everyone.
Thank you.